I hope you're all safe and doing well. I know the situation has been kind of crazy lately, so I thought I would sit down and just do a relaxing plan with me video where you can just kind of chill out for a bit. For April, I was inspired by cherry blossoms because we do have a cherry tree in our garden and it's in full bloom at the moment and so beautiful. And lately I've been really into painting with gouache and watercolor, so that's what I'm doing with this month as well. I'm gonna leave all the colors I use down in the description in case you're interested. I also didn't really have a plan going into this painting. I just picked a reference photo of our tree and kind of just started painting really. What I found was the best way to approach it though is starting with the background, so the sky and the clouds, and then just kind of building on top of it. So I'm just kind of doing a wash of color first and just building on top of that. I did spend quite a long time on this painting overall because I didn't want to rush it, and I just kind of played around with it until I was really happy. So after the sky was dry, I started on the branches. And then I'm just adding like layers of pinks and peachy tones, a lot of white and also some yellows. I also like to use a slightly wet paper towel to kind of dab on the paint while it's still wet and kind of smudge the paint that way. And it just kind of blends the colors and just makes it a little more cohesive. I am going to be selling a scan of this painting and some stickers for the rest of the spread on my Gumroad. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested, and I would really appreciate it if you check them out, of course. So yeah, thank you to anyone who buys them or just checks them out. Okay, so for the flowers, I think the best technique is using a round brush to kind of dab on different shades and then going with a smaller brush to add details later. You could always add less detail just depending on what kind of look you're going for. My favorite thing about gouache is that it's quite opaque, so you can definitely cover up any mistakes or just go over areas multiple times until you feel like it looks just right. Alright, so I'm just gonna let the time lapse run and I'll get back to you once it's finished. Alright, so lastly I used this fan brush with a little bit of white and some water to create some dots, kind of like dusty bits flying around, and I did cover the sky up so that it wouldn't go all over the place, and that's the painting done. I did create 2 more little illustrations, just a few more blossoms bunched together, and this kind of a branch with a bunch of flowers, which I'm going to use for my weekly spread. You'll see that later on. And of course these are also going to be available as little sticker sheets, and you can just print them out and put them into your own spread. I actually did the same thing for this month because I did realize that painting straight into the bullet journal isn't really the best idea. Although the paper can take it, it does smudge a lot or it transfers onto the other page if you don't set it right away. That's also what happened at one point in my last spread if you haven't seen it. So I thought it would be better if I just paint them separately. But anyways, after they were dry and ready to go, I just printed them out and started on the actual spread. So for my cover, I used the large illustration, and I also used some black paper, and I used my favorite white gel pen by Signo, uniball Signo, for the title. I wanted to keep the spread rather simple overall, just because the illustration was already quite a lot to look at. On the other page, I'm as always doing a quote page, and I found this quote that says, "You don't have to have it all figured out to move forward," which I thought was really nice. I'm also using this cute sticky note I got from Notebook Therapy. I'll leave a link in the description, and kind of making it look like a little collage overall with some small doodles around the edges. So that's the cover page done. Now moving on to my monthly overview, I'm cutting out one of the flower bunches for another little kind of collage type of thing, and the same sticky note, and I'm just placing them on the top left corner. Then I cut out a strip of black paper for the little calendar, and I'm just writing the days of the week in white. And I did find the perfect shade of pink, or like rose, which is one of my Tombow dual brush pens, and I use that to draw little circles for the dates. And of course I kind of messed up and added a 31st day of April. But yeah, anyways, for the title I'm using another small strip of black paper, and I'm placing that on the sticky note. I'm also using a shade of light blue for some drop shadows on the calendar, which I thought perfectly tied in with the sky color. On the next page I'm doing my habit trackers, and I cut a rectangle from the sticky note for the title, and then I alternated the rosy and the blue shade for the actual habits. I didn't really change up the layout because it's just been working for me so well, so if you've seen any of my other plan with me's, it's basically always the same layout. And lastly, I used the second illustration I printed out because I did print out 2 of them, and I just cut a small strip from the bottom and glued it underneath the habits because there was some empty space there and I thought it just looked nicer. Alright, so moving on to the next page, I'm doing a sleep and water tracker, and I decided to do them vertically instead of horizontal layout I did last month. So I'm just writing the dates of April vertically and then the amount of hours on the bottom. I'm also decorating the side with a strip of the blue sky bit for my illustration, which kind of fits in with the blue I used for the dates. And then I did lose a bit of footage there, but on the other side I did the same thing with a rosy color and a strip of the cherry blossoms. Okay, moving on to my brain dump page. I'm doing another little collage type of header, and then again using one of the flower illustrations on the bottom right and a strip of blue sky as well as a strip from the sticky note. I also added borders in the blue and rosy shade around the page to make it all look a little bit neater and just tie it in with the rest of the spread. Okay, so last but not least, I'm doing my first weekly spread of April, and here's where I'm using the branch illustrations that I talked about before. For the title, I'm taking another strip of the sticky note, and then for the days, I'm using the branches as like a little border. If you follow me on Instagram, I did a similar style of weekly spread for some of my last weeklies of March, and I'm writing the weekdays on black paper as you can see and using the rosy and the blue shade again, alternating for the dates. I actually really love the way this turned out, and since I don't really need that much space in this month, this circular kind of weekly spread really works for me. On the top, I wrote a little quote on a little bit of the illustration I cut out, and it says, "Create your own sunshine," which I thought was really sweet. And because I couldn't help myself, I did another one on the bottom that says, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow," and it's a quote by Audrey Hepburn. Alrighty, so we made it all the way through. That's the last spread for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and here's a little flip through. I'm actually really in love with the way this turned out. It might be one of my favorite spreads so far, so I hope you do too. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always. Make sure to check out my Gumroad and subscribe if you like my content, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye!